Did you know that 200,000 Americans are classified as porn addicts? That's more than the population of Salt Lake City in Utah. Imagine every single person in that city, from the bustling downtown to the tranquil suburbs, involved in a daily struggle with porn addiction. A struggle that can drastically reshape the brain and interfere with the quality of life. Porn addiction, much like any other addiction, exploits our brain's reward system. It hijacks the role of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that signals pleasure and reward. Over time, excessive consumption of porn can lead to an over-reliance on these dopamine hits, desensitizing the brain and leading to a constant need for more. But here's the silver lining. What if we told you that in just 30 days, you could start to reverse these effects and regain control of your life? Yes, it's a challenge, but one that can lead to incredible transformations in focus, happiness, motivation, and overall well-being. Welcome to week 1, the most challenging yet rewarding week. This is the time when the brain begins its journey towards healing. As you step away from viewing porn, your brain starts to experience a series of changes, especially in the way it manages dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. During this initial phase, you might experience withdrawal symptoms. Just as a coffee lover might get headaches without their morning brew, you might find yourself dealing with mood swings, restlessness, or even intense cravings. But remember, these are signs that your brain is beginning to adjust to the absence of an overstimulating habit. It's a tough process, but it's a crucial step towards recovery. You see, when you engage in habitual viewing of porn, your brain gets flooded with dopamine. Over time, it gets used to these high levels, which can lead to a new normal, where ordinary pleasures just don't feel as rewarding anymore. This is what we call desensitization. But here's the good news. When you stop watching porn, your brain starts to rewire itself and dopamine levels begin to normalize. This means that your brain is learning to find pleasure in everyday activities once again. As the week progresses, you might notice that your mood swings are becoming less intense and your cravings are beginning to subside. This is your brain's way of readjusting to a more balanced dopamine level. You're essentially retraining your brain to find joy in the simple things, the real things, the things that matter most. But that's not all. As dopamine levels normalize, you might also experience subtle improvements in your cognitive abilities. You'll find it easier to concentrate, easier to remember things, and easier to think clearly. That's because your brain is no longer being hijacked by the constant need for a dopamine fix. By the end of the first week, you'll begin to notice subtle differences in your mood and focus. But the journey isn't over yet. As we move into the second week, expect to see even more positive changes. So stay tuned. Your brain is only just beginning to heal and there's plenty more progress to come. As you step into the second week, you'll notice a significant increase in your focus. Now let's delve into the science behind this. Your brain, remarkable as it is, continues to rewire itself. It's like an intricate dance where the brain's neural pathways are restructuring, adapting, and strengthening, all in response to the absence of pornographic stimuli. The dopamine, the neurotransmitter often associated with pleasure and reward, has been on a roller coaster ride. Remember, it was previously hijacked by the constant bombardment of explicit material, but now it's finally getting a chance to normalize. It's like a river that's been dammed for too long, now slowly finding its natural course. As your dopamine levels continue to stabilize, you'll notice something amazing. Your ability to concentrate is getting stronger day by day. You're no longer a ship adrift in a sea of distractions. You're the captain now, steering your focus where it's needed most, whether it's a challenging work assignment, a book you've been meaning to read, or just a simple conversation with a friend. You're present, engaged, and remarkably clear-headed. This is the magic of your brain healing. It's like a fog lifting, revealing a landscape that's been there all along, vibrant, detailed, and full of potential. Your productivity soars not just because you have more time on your hands, but because you now have the mental clarity to use that time effectively. Imagine a musician who's been playing out of tune for years. Suddenly, they're handed a perfectly tuned instrument. They can hear the music as it's meant to be heard, play the notes as they're meant to be played. That's you. Your brain is that instrument, and your life is the symphony. There will be challenges, of course. Old habits die hard. But remember, every moment of struggle is a moment of rewiring, a step towards the person you're meant to be. By the end of week 2, you'll have regained a significant amount of your focus and productivity. But there's still more to come. Welcome to week 3, the week of happiness. We've made it past the initial shock of withdrawal and the return of focus. Now, let's dive into the 3rd week where we see the rise of happiness. It's a significant week in this journey, a period where the brain continues to rewire and dopamine levels start to normalize. Imagine a garden that's been choked by weeds. That's what our brains were like, tangled and overrun by a destructive habit. In the first 2 weeks, we've been clearing away those weeds, making room for something new. Now in week 3, we start to see the first buds of happiness blooming. As the brain restructures, it starts to reward us differently. The excessive dopamine spikes caused by porn viewing are replaced by a more stable and consistent release of this feel-good hormone. The result? An overall increase in happiness. Picture yourself waking up one morning during this 3rd week. You feel a sense of calm. The world looks a little brighter, sounds are a bit clearer, and your heart feels lighter. This is the happiness we're talking about. It's not a fleeting rush, but a deep, steady contentment that comes from within. But that's not all. As the dopamine levels normalize, we also see a decrease in anxiety. The brain is no longer in a state of constant anticipation for the next dopamine hit. It's like a fog lifting, revealing a clear, serene landscape. Let's take John, for instance, a former addict. When John reached week 3, he found himself laughing more. He was less irritable, more patient. His friends noticed he was more present in their conversations. He was no longer constantly on edge, waiting for his next fix. His anxiety levels dropped significantly, and he found himself genuinely enjoying life's simple pleasures. So, what's the takeaway here? As we move through week 3, we begin to feel happier and less anxious. We start to experience the world in a more meaningful, satisfying way. By the end of week 3, you'll be feeling happier and less anxious. But the journey isn't over yet. The road to recovery is a long one, and we still have a way to go, but remember, each step forward is a victory. So keep going, because the rewards are well worth the effort. As you step into the 4th week, you'll notice a surge in your motivation. It's like waking up and feeling that the world is your oyster. You're not just ready to take on the day, you're excited to. This newfound motivation is due to the continued normalization of your dopamine levels. Remember, dopamine is the reward neurotransmitter, the one that makes us feel good when we achieve something. But when you were caught in the cycle of porn addiction, your brain was being flooded with dopamine at unnatural levels, which meant it had to shut down some of its receptors to cope. This left you feeling unmotivated, uninspired, and unable to take pleasure in everyday tasks. But now, as your dopamine levels continue to normalize, your brain is reopening those receptors. It's like a city at night, slowly turning the lights back on one by one. And with each light comes a surge in motivation and ambition. Think of it like this. Imagine a runner training for a marathon. At first, they can barely manage a mile without collapsing in a heap. But they keep going, pushing through the discomfort, the fatigue, the moments of doubt. And then, one day, they notice that they can run a little further, a little faster. That's you right now. You're the runner. And week 4 is when you start to see real, tangible progress. This progress isn't just in your brain, it's in your life too. You'll find yourself pursuing goals with a vigor you didn't know you had. You might find yourself picking up old hobbies or starting new projects. You're not just dreaming anymore, you're doing. And the best part, the sense of achievement you get from these pursuits is real. It's not a false high, it's a genuine reward for your effort. By the end of week 4, you'll be feeling more motivated and ambitious than you have in a long time. And it's just the beginning. The journey ahead is full of more milestones, more achievements, and more reasons to stay on this path. So keep going, you're doing great. And remember, the only way is up. While the first 30 days are crucial, the journey doesn't end there. The path to recovery is not a sprint, but a marathon. It's an ongoing process, a daily commitment to abstain and make healthy choices. The benefits you've seen in these initial weeks, they continue to multiply. Your focus sharpens further, happiness deepens, and motivation skyrockets. But it's not always a smooth sail. There might be days when the old urges try to sneak back in, but remember, it's not about never falling. It's about always getting back up. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. So stay strong. Keep choosing yourself, your health, your future. Keep choosing the life you deserve over temporary distractions. Your journey might be unique, but know this. You're not walking this path alone. There's an entire community out here cheering for you, supporting you. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Like and subscribe to Motivate HQ for more inspiring and helpful content.